so I don't know how the numbers go, but the one before me was 4 and the one after me was 6. I was ROC 5, ROC 5.
All right. And when did ROC 5 graduate?
May of 2024.
And you graduated with the class?
I did.
And what was your first assignment with the North Andover PD?
You first go to patrol on FTO, and FTO is meaning you're with a field training officer, so you ride with somebody in the same cruiser for a period of time.
And who were your field training officers?
So I had several, because you do different shifts. I had field training on day shift. My field training officer was Officer Tierney. I had field training on the 4 to midnight shift, and my field training officers were Officer Furman, now Detective Furman, and Officer Sousa.
The entire time you were there any other FTOs that you had, just to kind of list them all off?
I think there's multiple officers there that are FTO trained, but those were the ones that were assigned to me to train me.
So you were, I'm sorry.
No. Can you just
Oh, yeah.
All set. Thank you. So, Ms. Fitzsimmons, in your employ at the North Andover PD, you assumed the job of a regular patrol officer at some point, I take it?
Yes, I was a patrol officer.
And after you finished with field training officers, do they have some sort of a say in how you function in the field and report back to the administration or the supervisors about how you're functioning?
Yeah, so the supervisor on your shift, your field training officer gives them, I think it's a weekly report of how I did on calls and what calls we went on together and how I performed, stuff like that. And eventually, I don't know exactly how many weeks I was on field training, but after it's complete, the sergeant will take you in his cruiser and you drive his cruiser and respond to calls or make traffic stops, and then he decides if you are signed off on. And I was signed off, and that day I got my own cruiser.
And when was that, if you remember, just roughly?
I think it was in the end of June or early July of 2024.
And just a few things I want to just tick off on the list of things a police officer does. Did you serve restraining orders?
I have before.
Have you testified in court?
I have.
And you've made arrests?
I have.
Now, at the time, moving over to your personal life, at some point you met someone named Justin Elaine, right?
Yes.
And what was your experience with Justin Elaine in a nutshell?
My experience in a nutshell, we met through Facebook. We went on a few dates. We ended up hitting it off. While I was in the academy, we were dating. He is a North Andover firefighter. At my police graduation, he pinned me, and then I would see him on calls sometimes, and we eventually moved in with each other. We got engaged. We had a baby.
And what was the baby's name? What's the baby's name?
My son's name is Caden.
How old is he today?
He's 13 months.
And Justin Elaine is the father?
He is.
What happened on June 30th of 2025?
On June 30th of 2025, I woke up in the morning.
Let me be more specific.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Did he take any actions relative to you in terms of your relationship that day?
Yes.
And what did he do?
he obtained a restraining order against me.
Is it fair to say that he broke up with you via a restraining order?
Yes. I did not speak to him. I realized our relationship was over when a restraining order was handed to me.
Okay. So let's rewind to the events of that day, okay?
Okay.
So that morning, were you home?
I was.
Who was home?
So my sister slept over the night previous, so June 29th to June 30th. So she was over in the morning.
Maddie?
That's Madison, yes. I was with my son. I had work at 1 p.m. I had to go to CPR training at 1 p.m.
Okay. Now, had you been out of work for a while?
I was, yes.
All right. And when did you first go out of work?
I worked up until I gave birth. Caden came 5 weeks early, so I wasn't expecting it, so I went out basically the day I gave birth to him.
And his birthday is what?
February 16th, 2025.
Now, when you were seeking to go back to work, did you get cleared to go back to work in June of 2025?
Yes.
Did that entail going through certain trainings and getting reviewed and stuff?
I did.
What was the event on the 30th that you had to do to finish that off?
I had CPR training at 1 p.m. on the 30th, scheduled.
Was that your last thing you had to kind of go through?
That was it. Yep.
Were you seeking to see Justin Elaine that day?
Yes, we had spoken through text and on the phone in the morning. I was asking if he would come home because he hadn't been home in days, to be with Caden while I went to work, and his response basically was, I can pick him up and watch him. And I said, you're not a babysitter. So there was a bit of argument about that.
Text argument.
Yeah, it was like, you're his dad, you're not a babysitter, you can come home. I don't understand picking him up and watching him. That was very odd for me to hear as his father.
Moms don't like when dads say they're going to babysit their own kid, right?
Yes, like, you're your dad.
And at some point, just to kind of cut to the chase on that, you made a plan to meet up in North Andover?
Yeah, there was a lot of texting back and forth. He originally said yes, and then he said no, and then he said, I'll meet you tomorrow. And I said, you have work tomorrow? That doesn't make any sense. He worked a 24-hour overnight shift. So,
Was there something about gas money as well?
yeah, he said that he couldn't drive from Stowe, Massachusetts to North Andover because he had no gas in his truck. And I just was trying to get him to meet me. I'm like, we need to figure this out. I go to work in a couple hours. Like, we need to figure this out. He called me while I was driving to work and said, I'm on my way to North Andover.
Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
Let me just rewind you a little bit.
All right.
So there's some texting about this, right?
Yes.
And the texting that you have and that's been kind of passed around in the case, it doesn't end up with, okay, I'll come and meet you at the North Andover Common, right?
No.
So was that arrangement made outside of those texts?
Yes, like looking back now, I think it was strategic, but
All right, well, just, I don't want to
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't want to ask for your opinion
Okay,
on it.
sorry.
I just want to, factually, I'd like to ask you, were there a couple calls back and forth that kind of
Yes.
set that up once and for all?
Yes, he called me on my way to work. I decided I'm gonna bring my son with me, which wasn't a big deal, but When I was on my way, he said, he calls
Well,
me.
hold on a second. Just to be, yeah.
I just need to confer with our court staff. Mr. Ring, can you turn the...
All right, let's take a look over the city here and get a check of that next weather forecast with Jason Michael.
We're talking about a sunny start and also a stable start to our Wednesday morning. We're halfway through the week here before cooler temperatures will prevail as we head into the weekend. Yesterday's daytime high temperatures came in about 5 degrees below average, unfortunately, but today we're going to be slightly above. As far as the Weymouth Wildcats, you can expect the lower 30s for the start of your day. The bus stop forecast again, lunch and recess will be well into the 40s here and even lower 50s with partly to mostly cloudy skies beginning to develop late into the evening. This is what we've been expecting here, friends. Temperatures slowly begin to dial up here. The mercury is going to be climbing over the next 48 hours. And as we see our temperatures here, they're currently in the upper 30s here in the city. Some colder temperatures north and west of town and also south and west of town as well. We have a pair of 3s down in Providence. But as we see more sunshine begin to develop, winds are also going to be dialing up by the end of the day today. And this is what we're going to be tracking here between Thursday night and Friday. We're talking about not only rain, but also a rain-snow mixture for the Friday morning rush that is definitely going to be impacting your commute. And we'll talk about it coming up in the full weather.
Well, one person was hurt and another is in custody after a shooting at a Brockton bus terminal. This happened just before 8 o'clock last night on Commercial Street, right near the police station. We don't know how badly the victim was injured. Police say there is no threat to the public at this time. This morning, we are learning new information about the deadly crash between a plane and a fire truck at LaGuardia Airport. The NTSB says technology used to avoid a collision did not activate because the truck did not have a transponder that would have alerted the control tower of its location. The head of the NTSB says the air traffic control system needs to be better.
Controllers should have all the information and the tools to do their job. This is 2026.
Well, the NTSB also says 2 air traffic controllers were on duty at the time of the crash. They say that's standard staffing for the overnight shift. Talks continue on Capitol Hill to end the nightmare at U.S. airports. Senate Republicans are trying to make a deal to fund the Department of Homeland Security. It includes paying TSA officers who are calling in sick while they are not collecting a paycheck. Travelers in airports like Houston and Atlanta are arriving several hours early to get through security. Public outrage is turning up the pressure on Congress. Republicans sent an offer to Democrats yesterday, which would pay for FEMA, TSA, and the Coast Guard, but not ICE. Democratic leaders say they need more than that. Almost 11% of TSA workers who were scheduled to report for duty on Monday did not show up for work. Here in Boston, airport security checkpoints are still moving. However, travelers landing at Logan are sharing horror stories about long lines at their points of departure. We spoke with a Dorchester woman who landed at Logan a day late.
The line started downstairs, it went all the way down to the basement, and then it comes all the way back up to the 3rd floor.
So how long were you in line for?
Over 6 to 8 hours.
And she finally got to the front of the security line. She says there were only 2 TSA workers processing all travelers. Well, there are new developments on the negotiations to end the war with Iran. Pakistani officials tell the Associated Press that Iran has received the 15-point ceasefire proposal from the U.S. There's been conflicting reports from both sides over whether negotiations were taking place. CBS News' Jared Hill has the latest details.
Overnight, Iranian missiles lit up the sky above Israel's West Bank, hours after President Trump said negotiations are underway.
The other side, I can tell you, they'd like to make a deal. And who wouldn't if you were there? We killed all their leadership, and then they met to choose new leaders, and we killed all of them. And now we have a new group, and we can easily do that, but let's see how they turn out.
A spokesperson for Iran's military suggested the U.S. was negotiating with itself.
There are mediators, other countries that are carrying messages in between the two. We think there's been some contact, some direct contact, but it hasn't been very significant.
Tuesday, President Trump suggested Iran is offering a present involving oil and gas and the Strait of Hormuz, as average gas prices are up to nearly $4 a gallon. United Airlines has announced it's cutting back on flights due to the rising cost of jet fuel.
Airfares are up probably 15 to 20% in the last month.
Despite indirect talks between Washington and Tehran, the U.S. is preparing to send 5,000 troops to the region, on top of the 50,000 already deployed.
We got to stop and make sure they don't have ballistic missiles. We have to do this.
Amid large GOP support, some are asking for clarity.
The White House really does need to articulate the plan so that people aren't reacting to their own hypothetical deployment.
All as the Senate failed again on a vote to rein in the war. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Just ahead this morning on CBS News Boston, a race to save a dog that fell into a sinkhole, how first responders were able to get the pup to safety.
Make yourself comfortable.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Thank you. So, Ms. Fitzsimmons, the last discussion we were having was that you were arranging to meet Mr. Elaine at the North Andover Common, is that right?
Yes.
And did he call you about it when you were on your way to CPR training?
He called me. I think I was putting Caden in his car seat. I missed it. And when I got on the road, I called him back.
And what was the conversation about meeting up?
It was quick. It was, Kelsey, I'm on my way to North Andover right now. My mom just gave me gas money. I'll meet you at the Common at 2. And I said, okay, I love you, bye. And the phone call had already hung up.
Okay. And after that, you went to work?
I went to work.
With Caden?
With Caden.
And what was the schedule, what was on the schedule for today, for that day at work?
It was a 1-hour CPR training, so it was gonna go to about 2 p.m.
So it was 1 to 2?
Yes.
Did you get there on time?
I think I got there a couple minutes early.
What was the layout when you got there? Who was there? Where'd you go? What was the general kind of mood of you going there?
So I knew it was going to be held in the community room. I was told prior that's where it was going to be held. So right when you walk through the officer's entrance of the police department, the community room is the first door on your right. So I just entered right through there.
And you had your baby?
I did.
And it's fair to say this isn't a visit to the police department where you're in full uniform or anything, right?
No, I was in a t-shirt.
And that's because you're going to be training, working on, those rubber dummies that you train for CPR with, right?
Yes.
Okay. Who met you when you got to the police department? Who was there?
Officer Detective Gordon was conducting the training.
I'm sorry, did you say Gordon with a G?
Gordon, yeah, Gordon.
Thank you.
And you saw him?
Yes, he was conducting the CPR training.
Did you see any other friend and colleague officers around that time period?
I saw Lieutenant Domenico as well.
And did you have a chat with him?
We didn't really talk because I was in the middle of the training. It was just we waved to each other when he was walking out of the door.
What happened with Caden while you were doing the training?
I asked Detective Gordon if he wanted to hold him because I figured he hasn't held a baby in a long time. So it's kind of funny seeing guys that haven't held a baby in a long time and they're like, but.
Did he hold the
baby? He did,
yeah. Okay. And is he someone that you trust to hold your baby?
Absolutely, yes.
Do you let just anybody hold your baby?
No, Detective Gordon was my drill instructor for my 6-month police academy. So I knew him more because of that. I saw him every day for 6 months.
You trusted him?
Yeah.
And how did the training go?
It went fine. Normal. Passed.
How long did it take?
It takes about an hour.
What time did you finish?
I think it was around 2 p.m.
Who else did you see while you were at the station?
Just Lieutenant Domenico. I was supposed to pick up my radio from an administration office upstairs. And I had texted the person that was giving me the radio and said, I'm just going to grab it tomorrow because I was like more focused on go to the park. So I was like, I can just drive to the station tomorrow and grab my radio.
Were you, quote unquote, on the schedule?
Yes.
Start soon?
Yes.
And what was the schedule when you were going to start?
I was going on to the day shift, which is 8 to 4 p.m., and I was supposed to start on July 4th.
Okay. You left the police station at about what time?
Detective Gordon walked me to my car. I probably pulled out around 2:05.
Where'd you go?
I drove down Osgood Street to the Common.
Who's this guy, Hunter Hassan?
That was one of Justin and I's mutual friends that lives in the town of North Andover.
Did you go by his house?
Yes, so the only logical way to get to the Common from the police station is to take Osgood Street, which is what I did, and he lives on that street, so I had to drive by his house when I was on my way to the Common.
Okay. Did you see anything at his house that surprised you?
Yes.
What did you see?
When I drove by, I saw Justin's truck. And at first I thought nothing of it. I thought maybe he got into town before I got out of training and stopped in, like that would be normal. But then I started noticing other cars I recognized there as well. And
whose cars were those?
I saw my maid of honor's car, Katrina Caruso. I also saw people standing outside near his pool. I know I saw his sister, Courtney, Justin's sister, and I know I saw Michelle Mitchell, which was another one of my bridesmaids. So I was like, what is going on right now?
This meeting was not something that you knew about?
No, I was supposed to be meeting Justin, and Justin was at our mutual friend's house with people, and I just was so thrown off. I was confused.
Did you actually see Justin as part of those people you saw around his pool?
I drove by quick. I saw a group of people. I recognized the trucks and the people I did definitively see, yes. I know Justin was there.
From the truck?
Yeah, from his truck.
Okay. So in terms of your confusion, are you wondering if he's there or if he got a ride to the Common or something like that? Why didn't you just stop there and say, hey, what are you doing?
Well, because I was just driving by, and then I was like, well, that was weird. So I tried calling Justin, and then that's when it just like communication stopped. No more, he was not answering my texts. He was not answering any more phone calls. I even went as far to text his friend Hunter and say, what is going on right now? And am I allowed to say what Hunter said back to me?
So did he respond to you?
He did, yes.
Did it affect your state of mind about what was going on?
No, it confused me even more because he said, oh, everyone's just meeting up for people who forgot things at the house from the bachelorette party that happened a couple of days prior. He said everyone was meeting there to pick up things that they forgot. And I was like, meeting in North Andover. And I was trying to make sense of it, and I was like...
Did that add to your confusion?
Yeah, because I was like, this person lives...
Sorry. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just, so who said this and how? I didn't catch.
So I had texted when Justin had stopped answering me.
Yes.
I texted his friend whose house he was at, and I knew he was there because I had to drive by from.
This is Hunter.
This is
Okay,
Hunter.
all right.
Yes.
Now I get it.
Okay. Yes. So I texted Hunter. And he told me everybody was meeting there to get things that they left at the bachelorette party. And it's like, that's in my mind, that made me even more confused and didn't make sense because everybody lives here, there, why meet in North Andover?
Let me stop you right there. So as a result of that kind of adding to your mindset, sounds like adding to your confusion, right?
Confusion, yes.
Did you stick to the plan to go meet him at the Common, or did you divert somewhere else?
No, I went to the Common.
Okay. And you got there what time?
It was probably like 2:10.
And did you wait there with Caden?
I did.
And approximately how long did you wait, if you can remember?
It was at least an hour. It could have been more.
Did you ever show up?
He never showed up.
What time did you make a decision to get out of there at some point?
Yeah, well, I was receiving other phone calls, which were adding to my confusion.
Not what was said, but from whom?
They were from Michelle.
Okay. And she was the woman who testified here yesterday, right?
Yes.
And she indicated that she was trying to meet up with you, and you were
To get coffee.
And you were trying to focus on meeting with Justin.
Trying to meet Justin.
Okay.
Like, I love you, I'll call you later. Trying to meet my fiance at the park.
To Michelle, you said that?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go home after that?
Yes.
What time did you go home?
It was at least an hour after 2 p.m., so sometime around maybe 3:30, because I know I was waiting a while at the park. Caden's bottle had run out of milk, or formula, I had to go home.
Now, as you sat here for the last couple of days, you've heard a lot of business about where you parked your car. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So you didn't park in your driveway, right?
No.
And you're adjacent to a school at 125 Phillips Brooks Road, right?
My neighbor to my right is
And
school.
I should say for the record, your home is 125 Phillips Brooks Road.
That's my home.
Single family house in North Andover, right next to what school?
The Atkinson Elementary School.
Okay. And there's a big parking lot next to your
Yes.
fence line?
Yes.
All right. And when you came back from the Common, you parked in there.
Yes.
Why did you park in there?
Because I didn't know what was going on. I knew something was going on. I first have my fiance just not showing up to meet me and not talking to me anymore. And then somebody that doesn't know I saw them trying to call me, and they're trying to meet up with me. I'm trying to meet up with Justin. And a bunch of other people were there that didn't make sense, and I thought they were going to come to my house or something, so I didn't want anyone to know I was home. So I just parked at the school.
Okay. Did this have anything to do with the North Andover Police
It
Department?
had nothing to do with the North Andover Police Department.
So you parked at the school, and as a young new mom, you probably had a lot of stuff you had to carry.
I had his diaper bag, I had him in his little carrier, and I think I had my phone in my hand and my house keys.
And you walked around and you went to your door?
Yeah, it was genuinely a 60-second walk to my car to my house.
Sure.
From my car to my house.
And you went into that porch door that we've seen on the video here.
Yeah, my front door, it leads to a porch.
And then you got up on the porch and you make a left into another door into the house, right?
Yep.
Okay. What happened when you first got home? What did you do?
I made Kaden a bottle. I called my mom. I asked my mom if she would come over because it was like, what do I do? Like, what's going on?
So you wanted some support from mom?
Yeah, so like advice. My mom's my best friend. I knew she'd come over and maybe like have a different.
Figure this out.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll withdraw that, Judge. I'm just trying to move on. What was your?
Mr. Brado, I'm sorry. I assume the objection is for leading?
Repeatedly, yes.
Okay. All right, yeah, if you could just stay away from leading, thank you.
What was your state of mind about having mom come over?
I was sad. I was really confused, and I wanted her advice.
How far away does your mother live?
She lives in Methuen, so her house is about 7 to 8 minutes away, but I think she was on her way home from work at the time, and she has to drive right by my house, or my old house.
How was Caden at the Common and then getting home? How was he behaving in terms of fussiness, or was he okay, or sleeping, or quiet, or what?
I ran out of his bottle while at the Common. I thought I'd brought enough. I think if our plans played out, I would have had enough for taking a walk in the Common. But because I was waiting for so long, I ran out of his bottle and he started crying. I drove right home.
And then at home you made another bottle and started to give him the bottle?
Yes, beat him.
Okay. What time did your mother get there? Approximately.
Like maybe 5 to 10 minutes after I got home.
And you did you visit with your mom for a while and consult with her on the situation?
Yeah, we sat on my couch while I fed Kaden. She did my house was messy, so she was just trying to pick up around the house a little bit for me. And we were just talking.
Okay. And did she leave at some point?
She did.
When was that?
Probably had her over for about an hour. So maybe like 5 o'clock she left.
Okay. Was her car in the driveway?
Hers was, yes.
And obviously she got in the car and left in her car.
Yeah, I told her that I was gonna be packing and probably going camping with my son, which is normal for me. My family owns land. We call it our happy place. I've been going there since I was a baby, so I was gonna go there to clear my mind since Justin wasn't going to meet up with me. I just figured I don't have work till the 4th, so that's what I'm gonna do. And
The idea of sitting around.
just,
Sustained.
I just didn't.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
see it.
Objection was sustained.
Oh.
So next question.
Why did you want to go up to the land?
To clear my mind, I've brought Kaden there 2 times before, and for a 4-month-old baby, he crushed it up there. He loved it. So I just thought, I texted Justin, I'm going to my land. He knows what that is. He proposed to me there. He knows I call it my happy place, and I told him I'll send you pictures when I get service, and I love you because there's not good service up there. And that was the last thing I ever said to Justin.
When your mom pulled out of the driveway, did you get a visit from the North Andover police?
I heard someone knocking on my front door when I walked up to the porch.
How long after your mom left did the police knock on your door?
I know now approximately 3 minutes.
And what were you able to do to figure it out pretty well?
My home has a lot of surveillance. My dad owns a security company, so my home had a lot of surveillance outside. So I was just curious, like, how long was it after my mom left that the police came? And I believe it was about 3 minutes approximately.
Can you use the video system to refresh yourself on time intervals and such?
Yeah, yes.
And while we're on that topic, are there timestamps on the clips from your house?
Yes.
And do you have any knowledge of the accuracy of those timestamps?
At some point, one of the daylight savings happened, so my cameras were 1 hour off.
And how off? Like which way off were they?
Like if it said it was 5 o'clock, it was actually 4 o'clock.
Okay, so it's an hour ahead.
Okay.
So,
hour ahead.
All right. So in terms of any clips that come from your house, does the timestamp show hour ahead?
Yes.
Okay.
So are you referring to what's in evidence?
Yes.
Okay. All of those video clips?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
So just want to make sure, did we say that right, that the clips are an hour ahead, or is the actual clip an hour behind?
I have to think about this, I'm sorry.
It's okay, we can come back to it later. I do that all the time, that's okay. How long after your mother left did you hear a knock on the door?
Like 3 to 5 minutes.
Where were you when you heard the knock?
I was sitting on the couch feeding Kaden in my living room.
What did you do when you heard the knock?
I put the bottle on the coffee table. I got up with Kaden in my arms and I opened up the door.
You walked out on the porch and
I walked out on the porch. So there's like 2 doors. My front door leads to a porched-in area. Walked out onto the porch and opened up the front door for 3 police officers.
And who were they?
It was Lieutenant Daly, Officer Noonan, and Officer Houston.
And Lieutenant, let's just go through each of them real quick for a second.
Okay.
Lieutenant Daly you talked about in terms of training and hiring and all that, right?
Yes.
And what about Officer Noonan? What was your relationship at the time with Officer Noonan?
He had transferred after I had already started. We were on the same shift for a brief time. On one of our shifts, there was a really horrible call.
So we'll get to that, but just generally in terms of your relationship.
That's just like how our relationship kind of even started. That's why I brought it up. That's how we became like texting each other and kind of more than just like, you're just my coworker and I've never talked to you, to we've had conversations and talked about personal things.
Did you think well of him?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, did he think well of you?
I think so.
So now you mentioned a particular call.
Yes.
And just so we don't have to dwell all over it, it's a call that involves a murder, suicide, and the murder victim is a young baby, right?
Yes.
And when was that call?
It was in August of 2024.
Was that response just you and him?
I believe I was the first officer in with Officer Cuevas, and then Officer Noonan came. It was like pretty much when something like that comes over the radio, everybody starts heading there. But the call was in my sector, so the sector I was assigned to that night. So I was the closest with Officer Cuevas. So we walked in together.
Okay. And just to encapsulate it, the call involved administering first aid and it was a difficult call.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the source of when you sort of broke the ice with Officer Noonan?
Yeah, we stood outside of the scene for a long time, all of us, everybody who was on that call, and we talked, and then the chief had asked us to, we were like out of commission for the night. Other officers came in and filled in for us, and we had like a meeting debrief in the chief's office. He had pizza delivered.
Okay. And just in general, fast forwarding all the way to June 30th of 25, did you ever have any problems or issues with Officer Noonan?
No.
Did he ever, to your knowledge, did he ever have any problems or issues with you?
No.
So there's Noonan. And then who's the third officer there?
Officer Houston.
And we saw him testify here as well today, yesterday, right?
Yes.
And what was your relationship with Officer Noonan?
Noonan or Houston?
I'm sorry, Houston, thank you.
I was closer with Houston. Probably out of the three of the people that were at my house that day, Houston and I were friends. He came to my engagement party. He was invited to my wedding. We have the same type of dog. I think they've met before. The dogs, I mean. Yeah.
He's a work friend.
He was a work friend.
outside.
Yeah.
So these three come to the door. What are the circumstances of how they come in the house? Did you let them in, or how did that happen?
I opened the door, and Lieutenant Daly immediately put his foot on my front porch, and we didn't just come in, and I was like, okay, all right.
I didn't hear that one.
When I opened the door, Lieutenant Daly put his foot into my porch, and they just said, we need to come in, and I said, okay.
And then did you turn around and you and Kaden walked back in the house and they followed you?
Yes.
So what happened when the four of you, five of you, got into the living room area?
They asked me, Lieutenant Daly asked me to put Kaden down in his car seat. They've referred to it as like a rocker does rock, but it was his car seat. And I was in the middle of feeding him, so when I put him down, he was obviously crying, and I was like, whatever this is, I'm gonna hold my son, because they had a folder. I knew they were gonna give me something.
At that moment,
yeah.
did you have any idea what was going on?
No, I knew, obviously I knew something was going on. The police are in my house, my coworkers, but when they told me to put Kaden down, I was like a little hesitant because I'm in the middle of feeding him, and then I listened, I put him down, and he started crying, and I was like, no, I'm gonna hold my son, whatever this is, like, I'm gonna feed my baby and read it. So I picked Kaden back up, and I had him on my lap while I opened the envelope, and that's when Lieutenant Daly said, Justin filed a restraining order against you.
Okay, so you're trying to read it and he's talking to you and the baby's crying?
Nope, baby isn't crying anymore. I picked him up and I'm feeding him.
What did Daly say to you about the situation?
I asked a lot of questions, like why? I was supposed to meet him at the park, like a couple hours ago. I'm confused. He said he didn't know anything, and I said, do you have the affidavit so I can read what I'm being accused of? And they didn't, and they said they didn't know the details. And he said that Kaden was on it as well, and...
Did that affect your state of mind?
Yes.
How so?
I knew in that moment I was going to have to hand my 4-month-old to a police officer to be brought out of my house.
How did that make you feel?
I don't know if there's a word. Sad.
Were you able to have a minute or two to kind of comprehend it, or did something else immediately happen?
I comprehended it. I was asked to pack a bag for Kaden for about 2 weeks.
Who asked you that?
Lieutenant Daly said the court date was in 14 days, so he said pack enough for 2 weeks. And
He said that to you?
Yes.
So you didn't take it upon yourself to want to do that?
No, they told me that I needed to pack a bag for Caden because he was going to go be with Justin for at least the 2 weeks till the next court date.
Who was there when that was, when that came up?
That was when the three of them we were all in my living room.
Did Houston or Noonan say anything at this point?
No. I knew if I put Caden back in his car seat, he was going to cry. He loves being held.
So the plan at that point was to go get some stuff?
Yes.
So you had to put Caden somewhere?
Yes.
And what did you do?
I handed Caden to Officer Noonan.
Why'd you give him to Officer Noonan?
I could say I trusted all of them. But I knew Officer Noonan I know Officer Houston has no kids, and I knew Daly seemed like preoccupied, and I knew Noonan had kids. So I guess that's probably what went through my mind, but it really wasn't that much of a thought. I just knew I had to have someone hold him because I didn't want him screaming in his car seat on the ground.
Was he someone that you trusted to do that?
Yes.
What happened when you handed your baby to Officer Noonan?
He took Caden from my arms.
And what about the bottle? What happened with the bottle?
He took the bottle as well.
And what did he do with respect to the bottle and Caden?
He was trying to feed him.
Did Officer Noonan exhibit any resistance or discomfort or anything with respect to holding the baby?
No, I think he said like, "Oh, I haven't done this in a while," like something like that.
What was your intention at that point to do?
I had to pack his bags.
And are you, as you're starting to go figure that out in terms of luggage, what do you need, where's he going, etc., are you having kind of an unfolding thought process, if you will?
Sustained.
I'm just asking her what she's thinking, Your Honor. What are you thinking?
So I grabbed one of my duffel bags and I first went in the kitchen, and as I was putting the bottles in the bag, it was just kind of like all setting in exactly what was happening, and there was just so many unknowns. And as I was packing things, I was like, okay, Justin just broke up with me via restraining order. We have a wedding in 4 months. Caden is not going to be with me for 2 weeks. That's an eternity for a mom, any mom. And everyone was just brushing over the fact that it was 2 weeks. And I was like, 2 weeks without Caden? And I just kept, in my mind was just going fast, like, I can't work overtime because I have a son now. I can't afford my home by myself without overtime. It was just, I lost everything. Even my doggy was on the restraining order. Maverick, my dog Maverick, was on the restraining order. So my son...
Was he your dog or Justin's dog?
He was my dog. So I saw my baby go, my fiance, my dog, my house, and I knew that was going to be my job too. Because whatever I was accused of wasn't good if at restraining order.
And you didn't have the affidavit?
No.
Where did you go after you went to the kitchen with the duffel bag and the bottles?
I went all around the house because his diapers were in one room on shelves. His bottles and formula were in the kitchen. His toys were in the living room, and his books and stuff were upstairs with his clothes.
Tell us what you did on the first floor before you got upstairs. What was the packing there?
On the first floor was bottles and formula, and he was just getting introduced to like purees, and I had just ordered purees from Target, so I packed all those too. Then I went into the, thank you, I went into, it was like our exercise room. It had shelving on the wall, and there was just like a ton of boxes of diapers. I just put those aside and was like, 2 weeks, a lot of diapers, so take the boxes. And then I went upstairs.
All right, before you got upstairs, part of the order was that you had to give up your firearms, right?
Yes.
Did you say anything to the officers about the location of your firearms?
Yes, I did.
What did you say?
I told them that they were in the basement.
Was that true?
No,
Why did you tell them that?
because I didn't want them to take them away,
Why not?
because I wanted to be alone with my firearm and take my life.
When did you make that decision?
I made that decision as I realized I had just lost everything in a 15-second conversation with my coworker.
Where were your firearms?
They were upstairs in a green safe
In your bedroom?
in my bedroom.
Thank you. So you went upstairs, you mentioned?
Yes.
What was your state of mind at that point, whether or not Justin was coming over or not?
I didn't think Justin was coming over. I knew that Caden was going to Justin, but I would never think Justin was coming over.
Why not?
That's just not like normal practice to put a plaintiff and defendant in the same room intentionally. Usually you're doing the opposite as police officers, so I didn't think Justin was in the house.
And the opposite being what? What's the opposite of what they did here?
They let Justin in my house.
So what's the normal procedure?
Normal procedure is to separate people. It's like the first thing you do on any call where there's any sort of argument. You separate.
Now, you've served restraining orders, you mentioned, right?
Yes.
Is there a provision in those orders for accessing property?
I don't know about specific provisions. I can tell you like what I've done before on a call where there was a restraining order involved. I don't know if it's a provision or not, though.
Okay, we'll move on from there.
Okay.
So you were going to go upstairs,
Yes.
and you had made that awful decision already?
Yes.
What was your state of mind about whether or not you wanted to involve any police officers in that?
I didn't want to involve anybody. I was trying to get everybody away from me.
Why didn't you want to involve any police officers in that? These police officers in particular?
'Cause I wanted to be alone so I could kill myself. I decided that I was going to take my own life. I didn't want to involve anybody else in that.
Did you go upstairs? back and forth a couple times, or did you just go up there once?
I think I went up I think I went up at least twice. The second time I went up, I was up there for a while.
Do you remember who accompanied you on each of these trips?
It was Officer Houston and Officer Noonan.
Was that the first time or the second time?
That was the second time.
And was there a visit upstairs before that? Houston and Noonan visit?
Yeah, I was trying to hand them things so they would go away.
Where did that happen?
That happened upstairs. So I was first in the room. You walk up, there's a landing. The room on the left is Caden's room. I went in there first and I put books in a car seat because Justin Struck didn't have the car seat. And I handed it, I don't even know who I handed it to one of them. And I said, can you bring this downstairs?
What was what happened after you said that?
Somebody brought it downstairs and then they came back up.
So you struck out in terms of what you testified to earlier?
Yeah, I just kept trying to hand them things to make them go away.
Meaning, what do you mean make them go away? Be more specific if you can.
Like,
What was the plan?
I knew if I pulled out my firearm in front of a police officer, I would get shot. That was not my intention, and that's not what I did. I was trying to get them away from me, so that didn't happen. So they weren't put in that position, because I'm not dumb. I was a police officer. If someone takes out a gun in front of you, yes, that's a threat. Yes, that's somebody that you probably feel threatened from.
So, but if you want to kill yourself, why not just let it happen that way?
That's selfish. I would never do that. Even looking back now, like reflecting for 9 months, I think my decision to do it to myself was selfish to everybody who loves me. So I'll just leave it at that. I wanted to kill myself. Me and my gun, no one else involved.
How many different times did you try to have the officers transport some stuff downstairs?
Several.
And, at some point, did Officer Houston leave the second floor?
Yes.
And that left who up there?
Officer Noonan.
So upstairs it was Officer Noonan and yourself.
Yes.
At some point, did you go across that landing to the other room?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I was on the floor packing more clothes in the duffel bag.
In which room?
My bedroom.
Okay,
When we walk up
Hold on.
the stairs to the right.
Okay, so you finish up in the other room and you go to your room.
Yes.
All right. Tell us the circumstances of where do you go, where does Noonan go when you go into your bedroom?
So nobody came into my bedroom with me. I was asked, I can't even say who exactly, like I don't know if Officer Houston had come back up at the time, but somebody asked me, who is that downstairs? And I said, I have no idea. And
Let me ask you a little bit about that. What was your state of mind about you being asked that? What were you thinking about?
I was like, I don't know.
Did you hear anybody come in?
No, but they did. Because they were on the landing, they would be able to. I was like more into my bedroom than them. So I was like, I have no idea who's here. Shouldn't you guys know?
Okay. What happened next?
Officer Houston walked down the stairs first. Officer Noonan followed him down several steps.
Did that give you a chance to do anything?
That was, I knew, my only chance to be alone with my firearm.
Show you Exhibit 51. What's shown in Exhibit 51?
That's my bedroom. That's the room on the top of the landing to the right.
Where's the photographer standing in this picture?
He's standing in the doorway.
When you went to go get that firearm, was there anyone in your view in that landing?
No.
Was this after you saw Noonan depart?
Yes, his back was turned towards me. He was following Officer Houston downstairs.
Did he stay that way, or did he disappear from that scene?
Well, he must have turned around at some point and walked back up the stairs because...
You know how when you're near somebody that's going up and down stairs, you can hear going up and down stairs. Did you hear any particular number of steps?
No, I'm certain I heard him and saw him walk down several steps.
Okay. And how did that affect your state of mind at that very instant?
I knew that was my moment.
To do what?
Kill myself.
What did you do?
So that shoebox was not on top of the green safe.
At the time you were doing this?
At the time, yeah, there was nothing on top of the safe.
All right. And you're referring, for the record, there's a orange lined box in the picture?
Yeah, it looks like...
Is that what you're talking about?
It looks like a shoebox, yeah, yes.
Mr. Brady, can you just give me a moment to catch
Sure,
up?
absolutely.
I'm sorry, did you say that that box was not on the, what did you say about that box?
That box was not there. The top of that chest, I'm calling it a safe, it's a chest that locks, that's where I kept my firearms. The top of it, nothing was on it. So whatever was placed there after, that was not there before.
Thank you.
Ready to go, John?
Yes.
What about the chair? Is that how the chair was?
The chair was turned the other way, because that was the chair I had rockaded in. That was not facing that way. The back of the chair was up against the wall, I guess.
So it's kind of like as you'd expect it to be in the room facing.
Yeah, I would need to pivot like this to be right. So it was probably moved. My room is small.
Okay. And to get at your guns in there, you kind of have to flip up the top of that chest?
Yes.
Were you
hurry up before somebody comes back?
And what did you do?
I grabbed the gun out of the chest. I put it up to my chest here.
So what was going on with you putting it up to your chest? What was that all about? What do you mean when you say you put it up to
Like I just
you made a motion to your stomach area, right?
Yeah, like I just grabbed it quickly. I bent over, grabbed it, put it here, took 2 steps backwards, and I don't want to make the motion of what I did because it's horrible. But I put the gun up to my head.
Which hand? Did you use?
My right hand.
And where on your head did you put it? You can just describe it.
My temple.
Okay. Was Noonan in the door frame by now?
Not yet. He had just walked in, like when I pulled the trigger on myself, with the gun pointing towards my head.
What happened when you pulled the trigger?
He said, Kelsey, no. Kelsey, no. I pulled the trigger. I'm sorry, but I said fuck.
What happened next?
I got shot.
How long after you said that did you get shot?
I don't even think I got to the K in the word before I was shot.
What would that feel like?
What part?
Getting shot in the chest.
Hurt.
Did the force of that bullet knock you in any particular direction?
It knocked me backwards.
Do you recall what happened with your firearm?
I got moved. It was
Well,
on.
before we, I'm sorry,
Okay.
bad question. I'll ask you a better question.
Okay.
Right at that point, as you're shot and you're flying back or falling back, whatever you want to call it, can you remember what happened with your firearm?
It fell out of my hands. It was to my head, and it fell out of my hand. And I fell on the ground, and the firearm fell on the ground.
A couple of questions before we move on. At any point when you were doing that, when you had the firearm up to your head, was Noonan present during the time you raised the firearm to your head?
Like when I motioned up to my head with it?
Correct.
No, he was not in the room. Nobody was in the room.
When Noonan came into your view, where was the gun pointed?
The gun was pointed at my temple.
At any point, did you move the muzzle of that gun
No.
towards Noonan?
No, never.
Or intend to harm Noonan?
Never.
What did you know about Noonan's kind of personal circumstances in your time getting to know him?
He was like, so he was a cop for a long time, and I was considered like a rookie. And like after, I had like a few really bad calls in a row, and everybody kind of knew it. And the senior guys would like check in on me and give me advice, and he was one of those people. And he told me his own personal experience with like calls and how to handle them when they're bad.
So, what was his family situation?
I've met his wife. I knew he had a son just by like talking.
Did you want to involve him in your tragedy?
I didn't want to involve anybody. I wanted to take my own life. I never pointed the gun at a fellow police officer. It never happened.
When you went onto the ground, what did Noonan do after he shot you?
I thought he walked away, and Lieutenant Daly came over to me, and then I think Noonan walked back over to me, and like I couldn't say anything really, but I couldn't breathe, and I think I was just like, why did you do that? I'm like, it hurts, and then I just wasn't able.
Say that?
I said, why? Like, why? And he was holding my hand. Officer Noonan was holding my hand. And I said, why? I was so confused. Why?
Where was Daly?
Daly was there.
What was he doing?
He was on the radio. I don't know what he said exactly on the radio. I'm assuming, like...
So, you get shot, and you get shot in the chest, right?
Yeah.
Lower chest. Well, after being shot, what was your how did that affect your ability, I sound like a lawyer, but how did that affect your ability to perceive things and recollect things?
I went into like a huge adrenaline shock. It didn't feel like normal pain. It almost felt like absent pain, but it felt like my entire body was burning, and I was completely alert, completely awake the whole time. I was speaking as much as I could. My lung was punctured, so that's why I was having trouble breathing, but other than that, I was very alert and aware of my surroundings.
Where were you laying in the room?
I was laying between my bed and the wall where the air conditioner is.
Were your legs parallel to the foot of the bed or somewhere else?
I think so. Yeah, I think that they were.
Were you bleeding?
Yes.
Is that the way you wanted this to happen?
No.
What do you remember next?
The fire department got there fast. It felt really fast. They put me in like a bag.
A sack?
And like they were all tall guys, and I knew that my ceiling, you would bump your head if you're over like 5'10". So when they were carrying me down, I said, watch your heads. And they brought me outside, and I think when I was still in my house, one of the firefighters was trying to put oxygen on my face, and I was taking it off and just saying, I want to die, I want to die, I want to die.
Did you make any apologies at any point?
I think I said, I'm sorry, I tried to kill myself, I want to die. Like, I just didn't understand what just, like, I don't know what just happened. I tried to shoot myself, and then I got shot in the chest. Like, nothing really made, like, I was just in total disbelief and shock.
Did you, at any point before you got taken out of there, did you hear Noonan saying anything about what happened?
No.
Did you see Houston yet?
Houston, yes. He came in, and I think he put, like, medical, like, gauze on the wound. Somebody did. He had the medical bag. I remember that.
Were you able to sort of perceive the first aid techniques they were administering to you?
No, I wasn't paying attention to it. I was, like, trying to focus on breathing because it felt like I was choking. Like, it felt like I was drowning.
So they bring you downstairs, and at what point in the trip downstairs and out of the house were you trying to take off the mask?
I think the whole time. And when I was in the ambulance, I said to everybody, I'm a fucking idiot. I just tried to kill myself with an unloaded gun. I'm a fucking idiot.
And then
I said that to everybody. I said that to the hospital staff. I said that to all the firefighters. I probably said that when I was laying on the ground. Those were the words I just kept repeating.
What were they doing to you in the ambulance before the ambulance departed in terms of working on you? They were working on getting a med flight. I had to get a blood transfusion. I finally agreed to keep the oxygen mask on my face, and they were doing my vitals and just trying to keep me stable before I was going to be transported to the hospital. And what hospital did you go to?
I was flown by med flight to Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston.
So by helicopter?
Yes.
And then when you were in the helicopter, Was there anybody that you knew in the helicopter?
No, when I was in the ambulance, I was holding on to firefighter Smirtelni's hand.
And can you spell that for the court? It's a funny spelling. Why don't you spell that, if you can?
I don't. His first name's Kevin.
And is it, let me take a crack at that. Is it Smirtelny?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. And did he go in the helicopter?
No, he was holding my hand the whole time I was in the ambulance and comforting me, and I asked if he could go in the helicopter. I didn't want to let go of his hand. I asked, can you come in the helicopter with me? And he said, I can't, no one can.
Okay. So you get in the helicopter, you're getting transported to Mass General, is it?
Yes.
Now, was there another problem with the oxygen in the helicopter?
It either like ran out or it shut off, and when you're in a med flight, you're laying down and there's a person flying the helicopter next to you, and I just like tapped him and like gestured. It felt like I was drowning again. Felt like I was choking on, I couldn't get a breath. So I just like told him, like I couldn't talk, but I gestured like to the oxygen that was above me. It wasn't working. I think they had switched the tank or something, or turned it back on. Something happened, but my oxygen got shut off in the helicopter, and they had to fix it.
Was that indicative of maybe some kind of a change of heart about whether you wanted to die?
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to say in those exact moments because it took a lot of healing from the moment I decided to make a suicide attempt to now to be healed mentally. So I don't know what my exact thoughts were in that moment, but I know when I got to the hospital, I said, I'm a fucking idiot. I tried to kill myself with an unloaded gun. How could I be so stupid?
What was the length of time that you were at Mass General?
Like the length from when I was admitted to discharge, it was 53 days.
And how many operations have you had?
I've had 5.
And what were the kind of the main issues that
Objection to the relevance at this point.
Relevance?
Just the circumstances, Your Honor, of what happened to her.
Sustained.
May I have a moment, please, Your Honor?
Yes. Take your time.
Nothing further.
All right. So, Cross, I need to, let's take a 10-minute break, please.
All right. Stand to a 10-minute recess.
30th. Officials say RSV activity across the state is elevated. The respiratory virus is a leading cause of hospitalization among infants in the U.S. All right, Jason is back now with a look at our next weather forecast. And Jason, when it looks like that behind you, we have no complaints. I know it's not staying that way through the weekend, but we'll enjoy it now.
Oh, it's so beautiful outside. Some of those high cirrus clouds outside here, I know you and we love to get our hands in some dirt and also get started on some of the spring planting. You can do that, but we still do have some cool nights up ahead here. And a lot of those cool nights actually may slip below freezing depending on your location. But as well, a lot of us are getting outside and enjoying the nicer days here, allergens are also beginning to dial up. So I want to put you on guard while a lot of the allergens begin to dial up as well, especially tree pollen is beginning to happen here. Currents are in the mid to upper 40s. We are warming up here, certainly warmer than what we were yesterday. On Monday, we were at 38 degrees for an afternoon high. Yesterday, 43, and now we're in the mid 40s as well, 46 degrees to be exact. This is after the 20s and lower 30s earlier this morning. But I mentioned earlier, more unsettled weather is going to begin to move back in here. High pressure is decaying and pushing on out, and that will help to allow for not only warmer weather, but also more unsettled weather moving back in, coming in the form of rain. For tomorrow, we're just talking about clouds and also spot shower chances. A skosh of sunshine can be expected for your Thursday. And by Friday, it's going to be a raw and gray day with a coolish start to the weekend on Saturday and a little bit warmer for us on Sunday as well. We are expecting around a half inch up to an inch of rain here, friends, and some of the heaviest rain is actually going to be south of the Mass Pike. Over the next 24 to 36 hours, you're going to notice that cloud cover will be on the increase, and just a little bit of extra moisture will also be dialing up as well. Most of the heaviest rain will likely begin in areas north there and then likely continuing in areas south. This is going to be around bedtime for us on a Thursday night through early Friday. This is going to be some pretty appreciable rain. Now, we still have some more model runs to come in, so we're going to interrogate those a little bit more closely to really fine-tune that forecast for you. But with the rain coming in heavy at times and also a chance of a rain-snow mix around the morning rush on Friday, that is an impactful start to our Friday morning. Cloud cover will begin to dissipate by the end of us on Friday because that means the cold front is pushing on out and dry conditions are moving back in, but also colder temperatures moving back in as well. Saturday and Sunday largely dry, so a nice weekend up ahead for us here. Monday and Tuesday mostly dry as well with increasing rain chances by the end of next week. This is the forecast that we showed you earlier here over the next few days. Again, a first round of rain is going to be across northern New England, even some fresh snow across portions of Maine. Milder temperatures begin to emerge, and we will feel that, at least in abundance for us tomorrow. More 60s to be expected. This cold front will be dragging up behind there, and also a lot of colder weather dragging up behind as well. This will compress across the region early on Friday morning. We're going to keep that band of really steady rain in and around the Boston area, down towards Providence, Hartford, even onto the islands as well. And then once the cold front passes, we're going to have cooler conditions move back in, and they will likely take over for our Friday night and certainly our Saturday. I want to also put on your radar winds dialing up over the next 24 to 36 hours. A 25 to 30 to 35 plus mile per hour gust can be expected at times now through about Friday. But again, a lot of that activity unfolds for tomorrow. Enjoy the 50s today here, friends. Strong southwest winds. Temperatures get back into the 30s overnight tonight. Not as chilly, though, because, again, we're still going to be dealing with those southwest winds, and also cloud cover will help to act as a blanket overnight tonight. So not as chilly waking up tomorrow morning. We have a good chance of actually making it into the 60s tomorrow, but I wish tomorrow looked a lot like today here, but it will not. We're going to have more clouds dominating tomorrow. An alert will be possible on Friday, Brianna, because of the unsettled weather to start there, and then we'll get rid of that. Saturday is pretty good, but also pretty chilly as well. The upper 30s, more 40s for us on Sunday, and look at that. The 50s make a welcomed return for the first half of next week.
All right, Jason, thank you. Well, the Attleboro community is fighting to save its zoo. Residents packed a city meeting last night to discuss the mayor's plan to shut down the Cape Ron Zoo. She is suggesting sending the able-bodied animals to other zoos and keeping the facility open as a wildlife park to care for animals that are too old to relocate. The mayor says the zoo isn't making ends meet, but she faced tough questions from city councilors.
This is a concept. It's not a plan. There are no numbers involved. There's nothing for us to sink our teeth in and say, hey, that's a great idea.
Well, City Council will now decide if it wants to fund the zoo with enough cash to stay open as is for another year while it weighs its options. Up next on WBZ News, how a Watertown teacher is helping all students embrace the thrill of March Madness.
So I'm very excited.
Yes.
We finally got it back. This is the higher dose red light therapy hat.
Check that out, Klaus.
So this is FDA cleared for hair growth. 2025 Vogue winner of the best red light therapy hat for hair growth on the market. So here's how it works. Do you see all these red lights in there? This red light therapy, they actually soak into the scalp and penetrate into the hair follicle. This actually increases circulation, which delivers oxygen and nutrients to your hair follicles that are lazy or dormant.
The control room just said, John Tower just said, I need 3 of these.
Okay, but you shave your hair voluntarily.
I do.
But for people who have hair loss, my mother started experiencing it 10 years ago. It can be for a variety of reasons. It is devastating. It affects our self-esteem. We try all these invasive things. This you wear 10 minutes a day. In just 4 months, you're going to start to see new growth. And I have to tell you, I get to test things at home.
Yeah, wow.
Do you see this?
Yes, absolutely.
So this is the benefit that you get from wearing it. Again, 10 minutes a day. It's cordless. It's a cute-looking hat.
What is the price for this for myself to get a luscious head of hair like Patrick Dempsey?
$336.75. And right now, you're saving over $110. It sells out every time. CBS deals right now.
Sold. I'm going to wear it. I'm going to wear it.
Grab it now.
To get this deal and more, scan the QR code at the top of your screen or head to cbsdeals.com to start shopping now.
Well, a teacher for visually impaired students is using March Madness-style brackets to make math more accessible and fun. WBZ's Levin Reed tried it out for himself.
The Perkins School for the Blind is one of the best educational institutions in the world, and it's right here in Watertown.
It is an amazing place to work. Our mission is to help students with visual impairment and disabilities find their place in the world. So it's really exciting to be a part of that.
In making sure all the students stay up to date with the latest topics, Sue Sullivan came up with the NCAA Braille Bracket. She started doing this 3 years ago.
I think March Madness is so much fun that I wanted to share all the excitement with my students. So I put this big bracket on the wall in both large print and Braille, because here at Perkins we say that blindness is a spectrum, so students read it different ways.
Sue is a math teacher, and while doing the brackets, her students also learned about the chances of a perfect one.
The probability of a perfect bracket mathematically is 1 in 9.2 quintillion, which is just a really fun number to talk about.
The classroom is now fully engaged.
it's been really great because it's exposed a lot of our students to colleges they've never heard of. Because if you think about it, we see T-shirts and sweaters of all these different colleges, right? Our students with visual impairments don't see that.
Right.
So it's allowed us to kind of show them different colleges, get them really interested.
This also helps in developing their social structures.
The kids are able to talk about conversations that are happening in other schools and at homes, right? And so it's really important to have these non-academic kind of conversations.
By the way, they also have a candy bracket, and Snickers not winning is an absolute joke.
And Reese's always wins. I mean, it's always the winner in every category.
In Watertown, I'm Levin Reed, WBZ News.
Up next, a high-stakes move with some very unusual cargo.
Sometimes the opposite of love isn't hate, it's anger, and things can go in 9 different directions in a minute. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
When you're dealing with someone who you know has a mental health past, it can be even more volatile, correct?
Volatile.
Yes.
I wouldn't use that word as it pertains to mental health, sir, respectfully.
There is as a police officer, there is a heightened sense of awareness, right? You're taking all the information in.
In every call, yes,
Sure.
yeah.
Well, domestic violence call in particular. You don't agree with me?
No, I do. I agree with you on every call. A heightened sense of awareness is key to being a police officer. So domestic, car accident, anything. We go to work in a bulletproof vest.
Exactly, that's my point.
Yeah, we have
So,
to.
When you go to a domestic call, you try to separate people, right?
Yes.
Because if they come together or you can see each other sometimes, bad things can happen. Right?
Yes.
And so when you walk into a domestic violence situation, or any situation, right? Your first order of business is to keep everybody safe. Fair to say?
Yes.
The people who called, right?
Yes.
Yourself.
Yes.
If you have a partner, your partner.
Yep, the other officers, yep.
If there are family members there, you want to keep them safe. True?
Yes, police officer, your job is to keep everyone, including yourself, safe.
If there are children, you want to keep them safe.
Everybody.
Okay. So, and if you think there are guns in the house, that is a particularly serious concern for you also, right?
Yes.
For your safety,
Yes.
your partner's safety,
Yes.
for the children's safety, for everybody, right?
For everybody.
And you know that, correct?
I know that.
And so you know when you walk into a scene, when you think there may be some mental health issues, that there may be some weapons, that you don't take your eyes off anybody, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you don't let someone walk into a room by themselves, right?
You shouldn't know.
You should have, I think with Officer Houston, you should be in their pocket, right?
I'm not familiar with that phrase. Did he say that?
He did.
Okay.
Well, if you're not familiar, you should be right near him, right?
Yes.
Because at any point, someone could grab a weapon, true?
True.
Use a weapon,
True.
and especially when there's a heightened sense of volatility on some of these calls, right?
Yes.
And you know that as a police officer, correct? And
Yes.
that's just kind of common sense anyway, right?
Yes.
And you've been trained on that.
Yes.
And so you don't take your eyes off any of the parties, true?
True.
Right. You don't leave them alone.
True.
That's what you're trained to do, that's what you're supposed to do, and that's pretty much common sense of what you do.
That's what you're supposed to do, yes.
Right, okay. We agree on that.
We do.
Now, if there is you are a police officer, so you know other divisions of the forces, correct? Like SWAT. You understand what SWAT is, right?
I was a very new police officer. I was only on for about 2 years. I'm not familiar with SWAT. I know a little bit.
Okay, so we'll talk about what you know.
Okay.
SWAT is like a special weapons tactical team.
Yeah, I know that. I don't know exactly what their job functions are or what they do.
You do understand that they respond to highly volatile situations that are dangerous, true?
Yes.
Okay. If there is a weapon involved, somebody's barricaded, there's an active shooter, they respond. Correct?
Yeah, they go to everything that's bad.
Okay. Because they're highly trained to deal with those situations, true?
True.
Okay. They're the ones who see guns all the time, see violence all the time, and have to react to a weapon. True?
True.
Okay. Because not every call involves a weapon. Some of them are, like you said, car accidents. True?
Every call is very different.
Yeah. And so, but those guys are trained and picked because they deal with that stuff well. True?
I don't know how they're picked or trained. I know nothing about their training or the process of becoming on SWAT.
Okay, but you know to call them if something happens.
That wouldn't be my job, but my supervisors. But yes, we can agree to that, yes.
Okay.
They get called to bad things. I know this.
They get called to bad things and have to deal with bad things.
Yes.
And you know that as a police officer, you need to qualify and get trained in order to do certain things. If you're on, like a domestic violence officer may have to be trained in domestic violence to be in a unit like that. True?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have that on my department, but I have heard of that on other departments. Like a domestic violence detective would probably be trained more in that sense.
Right, so there's sometimes specialties
Yes.
that people focus on that
Yeah.
people are prepared to deal with better than other people. True?
Yes.
Officer Noonan was on the SWAT team. You know that, right? You know that.
I know that now.
Okay. You knew he started in Andover. That's where he began his career.
I knew he started in North Andover.
Sorry, North Andover. And then he went to Lawrence.
Yes.
And Lawrence is really a different atmosphere than North Andover. You agree with me there?
Yes.
North Andover.
North Andover does get the flood in of Lawrence,
Sure,
though.
there's some crossover.
Yes.
Right? But you know what that crossover is.
Yes.
True?
True.
It's, and not to disparage any community, right? But Lawrence has more guns than North Andover.
I think so. I don't know off personal knowledge, but I would assume.
Okay. They have more gangs.
Yes, that I do know, yes.
They have more drugs.
Yes.
They have more violence.
Yes.
They have more need for people who can deal with that stuff, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you know that Officer Noonan worked in Lawrence for years.
I did know that, yes.
Okay, you did know that, right?
Yeah, I did.
And then he came back. Did you say you were on the job or not on the job when he came back?
I was already on the job when he came back.
Okay. And you know he came back from Lawrence, right? And when he came back from Lawrence, it was really, he was the most experienced person on the force at this point, right? From what he had been through?
I didn't know his experiences.
Okay, you knew that he was...
I honestly thought, I looked at my lieutenants as that
Well,
for me.
Officer Noonan, back when you were on the job, you looked up to him.
Yeah, I looked up to all the senior officers that were willing to train me or give me any type of advice.
Well, we're talking about Officer Noonan.
He did that,
Okay.
so yes.
Yeah, you looked up to him. You knew he was experienced, correct?
Yes.
You knew he was a by-the-book kind of guy, that he was going to teach you well.
Yes.
You went to him for that.
I went to him for advice.
Right. And you went to him for advice because you thought you knew what he was doing, right? He'd been through the ringer, and that's why you went to him, right?
No, he told me, he reached out to me and told me that, he's been on bad calls before, and this is how he handles it.
Right.
And
you appreciated that.
I did.
Okay. And it seemed like that was true with the advice he was giving you.
Yes, yes.
A gentleman about it. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Justin's a different story in your life, correct? Justin, on June 30th, you had said that what was happening was a surprise. I don't know if you used those words, but the demeanor you gave off was this came out of the blue, right?
I was very confused.
You were confused, but and we're not going to get into it, but stuff that happened that weekend before, that Saturday night, that would have given you some inkling that something was wrong, right?
I was aware me and Justin were in an argument. I was aware the second I woke up in the morning, that's why we were planning to meet.
So it wasn't a surprise that there was some strife between you and him at that point?
No, I knew that. I'm saying I was more surprised about being ditched at the Common and the police involvement. Those were the
police had come to your house on that Sunday to check in on you, correct?
I got accused of...
I'm not asking what you were accused of.
They came to see if I was okay. They thought I was in a car accident. I was never in a car accident.
Okay. But they came to you because they were concerned about you, right?
They thought I was in a car accident.
Okay. And on the Monday...
Somebody told them that.
On the Monday... Well, okay, we'll get back to that.
Okay.
Okay. On the Monday, you were surprised by this order, correct?
Yes, I was surprised by the order.
And you say that you have no idea why this has happened.
Right.
You eventually think that you're, well, you know Caden's going to be taken away from you for a short period of time, right?
You say short, and that's fine. But he was 4 months old, and it was 14 days. That's an eternity for me.
I grant you that.
Okay.
I grant you that.
Thank you.
That is a significant amount of time for any parent. True?
Yeah,
Okay?
true.
So I'm sure that was devastating to you, right?
Yes,
right?
yes.
And it was Justin who was doing that to you, right? It wasn't the police.
No, right.
It was Justin who went to court, who said, I should have custody of that child, correct?
Correct.
And so that's who is doing these things to you, right?
Yes.
So that's who your anger was focused on, right?
I mean, I don't even know if I got to the point of grieving, of anger yet. I don't think I was there yet. But if any of my emotions were directed towards somebody, it would be Justin.
Sure.
Yes.
Because you felt betrayed.
I did.
And you knew he was going to get Caden.
I knew that I had to give Caden to the police, for the police to give Caden to Justin.
You know the police don't take custody of children, right?
I don't know that.
Well, as your time as a police officer, you have actually taken custody of a child and left?
I have.
So you're telling this court, you're telling the judge, that if there is not a family member to take a child because something happens, that you actually take the child and leave? You don't call DCF?
Well, you always file a 51A after the fact.
And then they come to the home and they take it, right?
So I guess the call I went on was different. I did end up taking the juvenile in my police car. I drove her to the police station where she met with family members.
Okay, so how old was this person?
She was maybe 12.
Okay, well, we're talking about infants, right? You wouldn't transport an infant.
No, I guess.
So,
counsel's testifying about facts that are not evidence, they're not proven. They're sort of being suggested as if they're gospel, which might mislead the witness.
Okay. So overruled, but Mr. Gubitosi, can you just allow Ms. Fitzsimmons to complete her answer? And like all witnesses, I don't want you folks speaking over one another.
Of course.
Thank you.
So you agree with me that DCF would typically come and get an infant, right?
Yes, I've never personally had a call with...
Well, okay, let's just talk about your career. You said you...
I think so. I can't tell you for sure.
Well, let's just talk about your career. When did you graduate the academy? May of 2024?
Yes.
Okay, and you went out on leave on when?
I went light duty while I was pregnant. I was about 20 weeks pregnant when the duty belt didn't clip anymore.
Okay, so, but you went out on February 16th. That was Caden's birthday, right? So that's your official leave?
Yeah, that's my official leave.
Okay, so 20 weeks, and he was, so you do the math for me. How many months were you actually on the road?
Okay, let's see. So like 7 months, and then I was light duty. So I graduated the police academy in May of 2024, and I went out on maternity leave February 16th of 2025.
So were you actually just on the road for 7 months?
Light duty, you're not on the road because, I mean, you're pregnant.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. And that was your choice to stay in the station and work that way, right?
Yes.
Okay. But you were actually on the road, going to calls, doing the dirty work as a police officer, just for 7 months, right?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to jump back to June 30th at the house after the police come, right? You called your mom. You asked to do that, and they let you do that, right? There was no prohibition.
You're talking about after the police?
Yes, after the police arrived.
Yes, I called my mom.
Okay, and she came.
Yes.
Okay, she came. Now, you called her your best friend, right?
My mom is.
Your best friend, right? And so you could have talked to her, correct?
Yes.
When Justin arrived, you knew he came in the house, right? You heard him.
No.
You didn't hear him come in the house?
No.
You knew he was coming to get the baby.
I never expected a police officer to allow the victim or plaintiff in a case to enter the home where the defendant is.
Well, you knew he was getting the child, correct?
Yeah, but I thought that I passed Caden off to walk outside. I never thought, or I never knew Justin was in my home.
You knew he was coming to the house?
I thought they would do it at the school, but yes, I mean, I knew he was going to be in the vicinity. I never expected or knew he walked through my front door.
When you went upstairs, and we'll talk about that green chest you called it, correct?
Yes.
Was it locked?
No.
Okay, you could just flip it open.
Yes.
When you claimed you pulled the trigger, it clicked.
It did.
It was not around in the chamber.
Correct.
There was a full magazine in it, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you used that gun to go shooting on Friday, true?
That is true. That's why I didn't chamber around, thank God.
And when you're doing shooting, were you qualifying? What were you doing on that Friday?
We have a qualification, yeah.
Okay, so you had to do that, right?
Yeah, because...
When you're shooting for qualifying, when you're at the range, how do you hold your pistol?
2 hands, and then there's some where they say use your strong hand or your left hand, you're not strong.
But your typical reflex is 2 hands, true?
Yeah, that's...
2 hands extended.
That's most of the range day, yeah.
Right, that's your training. That's the safest way to shoot a gun, true? So that's your default?
That's what we do at the range for those 8 hours, other than the one part where you shoot with your strong and non-strong hand.
So on Friday you spent hours shooting with 2 hands?
Yes. Yeah, it was Friday, yes.
Well, I'm asking you.
I think so.
Now, you stated that after the police came and you were starting to process things, true?
Yes.
And it took a bit for you to process things, about your life unraveling, if you will, true?
Yeah, as I was packing things, it just started to hit me like this is going. Just as I was walking around the house, I just was like...
All those things are going, and it's all because of what Justin did.
Yes.
Thank you. I have nothing else, Judge.
Redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. All right, you may step down. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And the defense, you can call your next witness.
Your Honor, the defense.
Okay.
Aside from
Aside from what?
the view.
Okay. All right, so can I see counsel at sidebar along with Ms. Fitzsimmons?
Two people are facing charges in a string of house break-ins targeting Indian and East Asian residents in Woburn. According to the Middlesex District Attorney's Office, 26-year-old David Rondo Castro and Yasin Ramirez Garcia, both of Queens, New York, are accused of breaking into homes in Woburn, Wilmington, Burlington, and North Reading. The DA says the men stole hundreds of thousands of dollars and large amounts of jewelry, and investigators believe that this was a highly coordinated operation.
They had multiple vehicles, they were using extensive electronic technology, and they were both intensely surveilling the individuals who would become their victims, as well as operating to avoid detection. The technology-based strategies included attaching GPS trackers to the cars of the families whose homes they ultimately broke into, installing hidden video cameras in the yards and on the property of those homes, and using Wi-Fi jammers to disable the security systems that victims may have had in their home. They also were careful and disciplined about turning off their own cellular devices during the time they were conducting these break-ins.
Now, the suspects are set to face a judge today on a charge of conspiracy to commit residential break-ins. All right, we are turning now to our next weather, and we have milder temps on deck for today. We are tracking some wet weather as we approach the end of the week. WBZ meteorologist Jason Michael is here with a look at that forecast. And Jason, liking the look outside. It does look nice.
Oh, I've been seeing a lot of people with a big old smile on their face on this Wednesday afternoon, Brianna. Yes, indeed. We have a lot of sunshine outside and really nice conditions. 48 is the magic number. That is the daytime average for today, and we're almost there. 44 degrees. We're already 1 degree warmer than where we ended the day yesterday at Logan Airport. A lot of 40s in areas south and also areas north and west. I believe the warmest air for today will likely be in inland southern New England. The Cape and the Islands will likely hang out in the 40s for the remainder of the day. You'll also notice that cloud cover will be on the increase as we get ready to wave goodbye to our Wednesday. It's been an unsettled March here. It's been a warmer than average month, but also an unsettled March here. We're already in a surplus in terms of rain, and we do need even more rain than that as well. We have a lot of dry conditions across the Commonwealth, and we're going to have a really good chance of at least adding another ½ inch up to an inch over the next 48 hours. And that means some commutes are likely going to be impacted here. So for the remainder of our Wednesday, largely quiet. Our Thursday, mostly quiet, but we do have some spot shower chances moving back into the forecast. We are even milder tomorrow, even milder than today. In fact, we're actually likely going to experience more 60s tomorrow. That first wave of energy is likely to be north of the Commonwealth, but the second wave is likely going to be arriving for us by tomorrow night. This will take you to bed here, and some rumbles will be possible closer to bedtime tomorrow night through at least Friday midday. And there's a low-level chance of a snow mixture going to be on the north side of this cold front once it safely passes through the region. We'll pick things up from there coming up, Brianna, and also talk about the impacts for your Friday morning commute, your Friday afternoon, and your Friday night, and of course, your weekend.
Okay, Jason, sounds good. Thank you. Well, Iran State TV says the government rejected the Trump administration's offer to end the war and has responded with its own 5-point peace plan. The proposal includes reparations and allowing Iran to remain in control of the Strait of Hormuz. The Pentagon is expected to send at least 1,000 troops to the Mideast in the coming days, and it's in the process of deploying 2 Marine units that will add about 5,000 Marines and thousands of sailors to the region. Well, runway 4 at New York's LaGuardia Airport will be closed for another 2 days after Sunday's collision. We now have video showing the moments after the crash on Sunday night, and you can see passengers getting out of the plane and onto the wing. Rachel Mariotti was in an exit row and helped get the emergency door open. She says there was no chaos inside the plane, but plenty of shock. The pilot and first officer died. Mariotti credits them for saving the lives of everyone else on board.
That I don't know how much your training covers running into fire trucks, but they saved us from not spinning out of control and not trying to avoid hitting the truck. So I keep thinking about them.
Well, NTSB investigators say it is rare that only one factor causes a major accident like this. The team is now looking into several possible issues, including staffing in the air traffic control tower, a runway warning system, and what the firefighters did in the moments before being struck. Well, a deal to end the partial government shutdown and pay TSA workers looks far from certain today, and passengers are stuck in the middle, as CBS's Natalie Brand shows us.
Anticipating longer airport lines, airline passengers are planning in advance.
Did everything right, called the airlines, called my Uber, didn't get no sleep last night because I didn't want to miss the flight.
TSA agents are poised to miss another paycheck later this week, putting pressure on lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
Multiple major airports are experiencing days where 40 to 50% of their staff are calling out because they simply cannot afford to report to work.
The acting TSA administrator testified today about the growing impacts.
We are being forced to consolidate lanes and may have to close smaller airports if we do not have enough officers.
President Trump met with Senate Republicans earlier in the week, but optimism around a breakthrough seems to be waning.
They're negotiating a deal. I guess they're getting fairly close, but I think any deal they make, I'm pretty much not happy with it.
Republicans presented Democrats with a proposal that would fund the Department of Homeland Security, except ICE enforcement and removal operations. But